Hello and welcome to the Authority of Love. I'm your host, Greg Williams, joined again by our co-host, David Walls of the Family Foundation for another Family Foundation Friday. David, I'm all tongue-tied today, but that's okay.
That's all right.
It's
Good to be
Christmas,
with you.
right? Yeah,
It
thank
is.
you. Thanks for joining us.
That's what's on our mind.
Thanks for the listeners. That's right. And we got a lot to talk about with that today, David. But I know that I wanted to start out with this because I want to save most of our time today to wish our listeners a Merry Christmas, talk a little bit about some of our experiences. But I know there's things going on that you want to highlight. That's what this show's really about on Fridays. So if you take a few moments and do that, let our listeners know how they can be involved.
Yeah, well, Greg, you and I talked last week. We had just kind of found out about this outrageous news about that came out of an interim committee hearing, essentially, that there had been a draft, essentially, of a proposal under the Beshear administration to force taxpayers in Kentucky to have to pay for gender transition procedures, potentially including even surgeries at taxpayer expense. And you and I, of course, talked about how outrageous that was last week. And a couple of developments from that. One, if folks go to our website at kentuckyfamily.org, we have an action alert. We're encouraging folks to contact their member of the General Assembly. Of course, the General Assembly is going back into session, the 2025 session, on January 7th. But to contact their member ahead of the start of the session and just encourage them that they need the General Assembly to intervene this next session to rein in Beshear's overreach on this issue, on one of the other issues, his what I believe is a legal executive order on the so-called ban on Christian counseling as it relates to so-called conversion therapy. We talked about that as well, and just a number of topics. So if you go to our website at kentuckyfamily.org, folks can go to our Take Action page and send an encouraging message to their legislators to be prepared to stand strong to ensure that the legislature continues to be one that makes the laws in the Commonwealth. Right. Also related to that, encouraged to report that our Attorney General put out a AG opinion in response to this
overreach
as well. Right. It made it very clear. In fact, our Attorney General Coleman said that the idea that Kentucky taxpayers should be forced to pay for gender surgeries for convicted criminals is simply absurd as a matter of law and common sense. His opinion settles this issue once and for all, or he says his opinion should settle this issue once and for all. And he reaffirms that it is our elected representatives in the General Assembly that should be setting policy in Kentucky. So thankful for the Attorney General's office leadership on that, and it just reinforces why we need to be encouraging and preparing to encourage our legislators to assert their authority in the upcoming session.
And so I would add to that just simply this: pray for those issues, and then second thing, take action. If you get that or you want to get that, contact the office here at Family Foundation, and you'll be put on the list, and you can get that. But also think about this: pray for our Attorney General, Russell Coleman, and he's taken a good, strong legal stance on this, rightfully so. But also be praying for Governor Beshear, because I think he is deceived in many cases, and this is just part of it. But we need to be praying for him as well. And there's another thing going on too before we jump into Christmas here.
Just a couple other quick updates. Speaking of our Attorney General Russell Coleman, he also he led a coalition this week of, I believe it was 18 states and attorneys generals from 18 states supporting Louisiana's new Ten Commandments law that requires a displaying of the Ten Commandments in public school classrooms in the state of Louisiana. This has been challenged. I believe it's going to the Fifth Circuit Court, but encouraged to see our Attorney General taking the lead, and thankful for all these states joining in this. And as we said in response to this, kudos to them for doing that. And we need to follow Louisiana's lead and pass a law here in Kentucky to put the Ten Commandments back in classrooms here in Kentucky as well. And so that was just some encouraging news. And then finally, this is one we haven't talked about, Greg, but there was some big news again at the U.S. Supreme Court. Another case that they will be hearing this term is an important abortion-related case, actually dealing with defunding Planned Parenthood and defunding abortion providers. And we had joined a brief with some of our family policy allies, encouraging the Supreme Court to take this case, and this has to do with the state of, the state, I almost said the state of California. The state of California wouldn't have this policy.
No.
The state of South Carolina had taken efforts to protect their tax dollars to prevent Medicaid dollars from going to abortion mills like Planned Parenthood. This had been challenged in court, and this is a big issue.
It certainly is.
In terms of the state's ability to protect these Medicaid dollars and to ensure that the resources that are flowing through their states are not going to pay for abortions in states like South Carolina, and we would hope in states like Kentucky and other pro-life states that have policies of trying to protect our tax dollars for paying for the slaughter of the unborn. And so that'll be an important case that the Supreme Court will hear arguments on later this term. So be praying for that case.
And before we jump into Christmas, which we want to do, spend some time on, those of us, including yourself, David, and myself, have been in the fray for a long time. We know this battle right here has been going on since the beginning. They've found numerous ways that even when certain dollars would get shut off, the side door and the back door to bring these in and continue to use taxpayer dollars for things that many taxpayers do not want.
Right.
And so that's why we got to continue in the battle and in prayer for these things as well. So thanks. Don't forget, you can go to KentuckyFamily.org and you can sign up and get this information, take action. Ask that you would do that, because we need to let our voices be heard, and especially as we stand for God's truth in our voices. So
absolutely
appreciate that. David, I said it a couple of times, we want to focus on, tell us a little bit about your Christmas this year and what you're experiencing, brother, because I think it's great. I'm empathizing with you, but I also it's a little funny.
Yeah, no, we're having a good Christmas, Greg.
Yes.
It's a little different this year because we had some damage to our house when the remnants of the hurricane blew through, thanks to a very large tree, and so we've got a lot of construction and repairs going on in our house, and we had a spot for a Christmas tree upstairs away from where we would normally have a Christmas tree that we've been able to use to put presents and do some of that stuff, but now even that tree is covered up with stuff that we've had to move. Yeah. So it's been a little bit different of a Christmas just in terms of decorations. But you know what, Greg? Decorations are not ultimately what Christmas is about. That's right. And we're looking forward to getting to travel and visit family. But we're praying. We're thankful for the work that's being done in our house. We're looking forward to the construction being completed.
When you get back, right?
We've got a lot more plastic up in our house than Christmas decorations right now.
I'm getting pictures of for a completely different reason, but National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and all that goes on there. Yours is for a different reason, but it looks like that.
Our house kind of looks like a disaster zone right now.
So you're going to really enjoy this week or so away as you're heading out to Texas today, right? And you'll be doing that. So that's wonderful. I'll give you one from ours. I shared a couple of these with our good friend Adia on Wednesday's show, but I've got one Christmas program at church. You know, we were at, many of our listeners will know this, but we were at Southland several years ago. Our younger son, our middle child, was on the team, and part of the Christmas program was for them to help with the worship. So there's like 300 plus kids on the stage with the worship leaders and stuff. And our Harrison decides to step off the first riser out on the corner, walk right into the middle of the stage in front of 3,500 people and tens of thousands on TV. He's in his own world, and he starts doing this dance. And amazingly, he did not have good rhythm at the time. It's in rhythm with the songs. And when we get my wife melts in the pew, right, in the seat. And everybody else is just loving it. And I'm going, this is great, man. This is what makes it so fun. And afterwards, I kind of knew what he was doing. I said, Harrison, what in the world were you doing up there, buddy? He goes, Star Wars, Dad. Star Wars. I said, I know. But anyway, hilarious. So you've got memories. Like you were telling me something about your family. Your parents have got something.
Yeah, we've got when I and my three younger sisters, when we were growing up, my parents filmed pretty much all of our Christmas morning experiments, and they'd like to. We'd sing Christmas carols and stuff, and have us almost like a little stage set up in our living room and perform. It's been fun that they saved all those and digitized them now, and so we like to watch those when we're together and let our kids now make fun of us when we were their age. I look back at those videos and I'm not shocked that neither myself or any of my sisters went into the music industry.
That's good.
But our heart was in the right place.
That's right.
Though.
Joyful noise.
That's right.
Joyful noise, right? That's what it says. That's what, speaking of tradition and memories, we used to go down for the longest time when my parents had the farm that we grew up on, basically. We would go back there on like a Friday evening in November, have a big chili supper and enjoy the grandparents and parents and that kind of thing, and then go out. Occasionally it snowed. Yeah. Not very often, but occasionally. But even in the cooler temperatures, we'd go out over the farm and look around with the kids and find our Christmas tree.
Oh, okay.
And then bring it back, enjoy the evening, enjoy the next day, and then drive back and put it up. So, those kind of things. I have to say this too, David. It didn't hit me for a long time because our family wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful. It was joyous. And our parents saw fit to make it that way.
Yeah.
And I had nothing but wonderful memories. But not everybody has that. People, I know people, we run into them, even in our churches and stuff, who did not have that growing up. And I feel for them, and I hope we can do something to help them have a little bit more joy and happiness because they didn't experience that.
Yeah.
And we'd like to be able to do that.
So. Well, and I was certainly, thankful for my family, and come from a family that loves the Lord and celebrated Christmas, and my wife's family as well. And it is such a blessing now with to see your parents be grandparents and just all that
you're
comes.
talking about me now.
Yeah.
I'm in that boat right there because I'm the same age as
That's right.
Parents.
Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, who is this nice person that's my dad now? He's such a softball now.
Why didn't you do us that way? Yeah.
But, family obviously is foundational, important. But, whatever your circumstances might be this Christmas season, the reality is we all have something to be incredibly thankful and to celebrate.
Yeah,
And,
exactly
and that's what we're trying to, instill and grow in the wisdom and the knowledge of the Lord of our kids, is that while, presents and getting together with family and Christmas performances, just had one at my kids' school here today, all of those things, they're all exciting, but they're ultimately pointing to the real reason why we celebrate Christmas, and that is the first coming, and a reminder that the Lord is faithful. He was faithful, and we have the hope to look forward to His second coming as well.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And speaking of that day, I said this with our good friend Adia on Wednesday's show. I had my Charlie Brown tie on, which I think is the greatest TV show ever. Why? Because Charlie Brown says, what's this all about?
Yeah.
And Linus, with the spotlight on him on stage, says he just begins to share the Luke 2 Christmas story right there, and it goes out to millions a year.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. I weep almost every time I see that.
Yeah.
To your point.
Yeah. Well, I forget. There's one of the Christmas songs of the current Christian artist plays a clip of that at the beginning. I heard it on the radio this week, but it's such a powerful moment, and it's again, just a reminder of what the Christmas season is all about.
Exactly right. And to close out with, this week I have, if you're watching videos, you'll see these, but I have my nativity. Yeah. It's got all the pictures of the nativity on this tie. So you said, what'd you say?
I told you he's wearing enough Christmas spirit for the both of us. As I shared, I don't have full access to my whole closet right now, so my wardrobe's a little limited.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you for joining us. If you're inclined to do so, go to our websites and donate. You can help us out. We thank you for that. Thanks for listening. Have a great, blessed Advent and Christmas season. I'm Greg Williams with co-host David Walls, and